Welcome to the latest episode of Branding the Experience. We discuss ways how we can create environments where employees actually want to come to work and customers want to keep coming back. Hi, I'm Ken Baker, your host for Branding the Experience, and I have a special show for you today. It's on creating collaboration with the power of purpose and profit. Now, a number of weeks ago, I had the distinct privilege to speak with Cami Baker, and she is America's authority on leveraging social responsibility in business development. And as many podcasters and YouTube show hosts will tell you, when we have multiple shows, sometimes we have this awesome guest for one show, and there's a portion of the conversation where like, you know what, this would be great for my other show. And that was certainly the case with Cami. I had her come on Credit Union Business News podcast, and she was an awesome guest. But there was a portion of it where I thought, wow, this is perfect for branding the experience. So I want to play that portion for you for this particular audience. I think it's really going to resonate not only on collaborating and marketing, but also on networking and having a unique selling proposition. Let's learn from Cami.
To your question, as I was a real estate agent, going to networking events, going to BNI, Chambers of Commerce, women's events, morning, noon, and night, I've literally been to 6 of in one day. When I lived in New York City, they're everywhere. So I've just really I've met thousands and thousands of people that from the beginning don't know how to give a good handshake or make eye contact, and all the way through to very, very, very few people know how to follow up or how to set an appointment. For the love of God, set a damn appointment. I have another interview in a couple of hours from another person that I met at New Media Summit, and they said, talk about something specific that everybody can relate to. So in that interview, I'm going to talk about how asking questions will double your leads, double your appointments, double your clients, double your business. Stop making statements. Hey, it was nice to meet you at the event. Hope you have a great weekend. You know, people just don't know how to set appointments. So with all of that case study and literally experience and hiring coaches and all this stuff, it's really, really clear that the average person has a hard time introducing themselves or following up, much less collaborating. Yeah. So when I help people to do purpose leverage marketing campaigns, meaning leveraging purpose in your marketing so that when you show up in the world, you show up as a contribution. One of the reasons that I teach that is it helps the individual leave their icky, weird salesperson at home with their 30-second elevator pitch and actually show up powerfully talking about something that they are excited about, they're passionate about, the puppies, the veterans, the kids, the environment. I teach them to show up with that energy because that creates a lot of that collaboration. And I could go on and on about it, but that's kind of how it all came about.
Yeah. So much great stuff in there, Cami. You're going back to the networking because you kind of need to understand how to connect with people before you go so far as to collaborate and do stuff with somebody.
Well, you mentioned to me when we started, you noticed my spider here, and I mentioned that it's part of my brand, and I'd love to, this Please. Is a beautiful segue to that. So when we go to these networking events, yours, mine, and everybody else's, and by the way, networking isn't just a place we go, it's everywhere we are all the time, in line at Dunkin' Donuts, at your kid's baseball game, whatever. Networking means connecting, really. But when we go to these events, we see the same archetypes. We see the person who is shoving a card in everybody's hand. They walk up to the group, they give a card to everyone. They are spraying and praying that something will happen with all these cards. And it's quite repelling because you don't even know them. Those are the skunks. Then there are the people who are grabbing a card from everybody. They walk up to the table. Hey, you got a card? You got a card? Let me grab that card. They're at the expos and the trade shows grabbing cards off all the tables, and they leave with that big stack of cards that they squirrel away in their pocket so they can put you on their boring email list, but they don't know how to connect or conversate. And then there are the people, dun, 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 dun. Hey, try my product, join my company, sign my contract. And the whole time you're talking to them, they're looking around the room looking for the next victim. So if we don't want to be a skunk, a squirrel, or a shark, and this is in my book, Mingle to Millions, and I've also added now the sloth that's just over there in the corner.
Uh-huh.
But if we don't want to be one of those, what I suggest is we be the spider. Because when you think about a spider is very strategic. When it finds its place, it makes connections. She makes her connections and creates a net web. And when you think about a spider doesn't hunt or chase or attack. They wait for that which they want to come to them in their web. So if we meet all of these archetypes everywhere we go, and believe me, I was the skunk, the shark, the squirrel, all in one night, because I was hungry and I was aggressive and I had a young baby to take care of, and I was a woman in a man's world, and I needed to prove myself, and I didn't want to get a job. So I was very assertive and aggressive. And so I know that there's all these relationships that I burnt and that I didn't have the opportunity to have because of who I was being. So when I have this conversation about the spider analogy, the next question then is, okay, well, if I don't want to be a skunk, a squirrel, or a shark, how do I be a spider? So when we go from networking, which is random activity, to net webbing, which is what I teach, is planned strategy. Now, when we go to those events or when we go to a big 3-day conference, we set intention before we go. We pay attention while we're there with our language and our body language and our questions so that we can create the retention of the relationships, the resources, and the revenue.
Yeah, that is so many great points. Yeah, these are good tips for some of our credit union business partners out there, because you see these clicks. I was at a very, very big conference last year, probably like 2,000 people, and you're in this big hall, and you see these cliques, these little pods, of small credit unions all talking together because they don't want to be sold, and they don't want to, talk to the big credit unions and say something that's going to lead to a merger they don't want. And then you see, all these big credit unions kind of looking around and, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, a little on the arrogant side of, why am I even here? and then you see all these vendors that are doing, they're doing the skunk, they're doing the squirrel, they're doing the shark, which aren't dances. Unfortunately, I guess you can make them.
They're very common though. And when I give this analogy, people always laugh because they recognize, they know that they are one of those. Very, very, very few are actually spiders. So there's two things about that. When we do go to conferences and we do go to that local networking event, to really start honing in and thinking, okay, what is my intention for going here? What can I do to have a unique sales proposition? So for example, as a real estate person or a financial services or a network marketer or a bank executive, every event you go to, there's 4, 5, 8 of you at that event, especially real estate and financial services. So how can you have a unique sales proposition and not say what everybody else is saying? Hey, I'm a realtor. I sure would love your referral. I give the best damn service in town. Yeah, you and everybody else. So if we're going to go to networking events, let's have a unique sales proposition. And then the other side of it is when we want to build our business, don't try to build them at networking events. We go because we want to meet people and we want to learn and we have a social circle. But when we want to build our business, wouldn't it be smarter to actually go where our clients are? So for example, real estate. Last year, I did a purpose leverage marketing campaign with the president of the Board of Realtors in New Hampshire. One of them, we were doing something called Realtors for Recovery, which partnered with the Rotary, and it was all about the opioid crisis. And there was a realtor there who said, look, you know, I want to help and everything, but I got to be honest. How do I leverage this in my business? Well, we were doing a diaper drive for a home where women were having babies coming off opioids and they need diapers. So I explained to this agent, look, instead of going to all the typical networking events you go to, how about if you spent 30 days not going to any networking events, but focusing on this campaign? You take the flyer that we are doing the diaper drive and you think about, where are your ideal clients? Her ideal clients were people who own a home and they've got kids, but the kids are getting older, so they want to sell and get the next bigger home. Kids are 6, 7 years old, etc. I said, where do they go? They go to the dojo karate studio. They go to the dance studio. They go to the orthodontist. They go to the pediatrician. They go to the mommy and me places, etc. And car dealerships and insurance and stuff like that. I said, if you get 10 businesses that all are they're not competitive, but they are complementary, they all have those same clients too. You go to the orthodontist, you say, hey, we're doing this diaper drive. Here's a flyer. Let's make you a drop-off location. And when we do, I'll do a Facebook Live with you. I'll let everybody know they can come to Dr. Smith's office at 123 Main Street to drop off diapers, blah, blah, blah. And the fact is, all your 500 people, all your parents will see that. They'll know you're a contribution. 87% of the marketplace will choose you over the other guy when they know that you're on purpose. So now that we've done that video for your orthodontist place, I'm going to do it at the dance studio. I'm going to do it at the pediatrician. I'm going to do it at the karate dojo. And now when I teach all of these people how to like, comment, and share each other's Facebook Lives, within 1 week, every one of those businesses is interacting and referring and introducing each other to each other's clients, whether they know it or not. And now thousands of people have not only seen each of these businesses, but they saw the person doing the video. And when you're looking for a unique sales proposition, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. When you're out there networking and collaborating, you know, what I heard from you, Cami, is have a strategy beforehand. You know, don't just go, because you know what? I will tell you that and admit on this show that the animal that I have become late in my career has been the sloth. I'll go and I'll speak, and because I don't want to be salesy and push my consulting services, and because I don't want to break into some of these pods, yeah, if I see somebody that I know, yes, I'll go and say, hey, how are you doing? But if I don't recognize anybody, yeah, I'll sit there and go, well, they heard me speak. If they liked it, you know, they'll come by and I'll be, all right, what's going on? It's a good time to check email here, da 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 da. And I don't want to be that sloth, so I'm going to change. So you're gonna chastise me, aren't you?
No, here's what I'm going to, I want everybody to have a visual of this. Really have a visual. Imagine this real estate person with this diaper drive in the flyer. I am on a mission to shift from sponsorship to collaboration. We're not sponsoring anymore. Sponsoring is passive. Here's $500, go promote me. No, collaborate. So if on every flyer, on every post on Facebook, on every email that goes out to all these thousands of people. So now when we're at a networking event, when somebody says, hey, what do you do? 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 We can say, well, I'm so glad that you asked, because what I'm doing right now is a diaper drive for these wonderful women who are taking in the initiative and they're coming off opioids and they're having these babies and they need the diapers. So right now, that's what I'm doing. We're gathering up 10,000 diapers. This is a whole different way of starting a conversation, so that we don't feel like we need to be a sloth or a skunk or any of that kind of stuff. So really envision the bigness of having a campaign where you're not just sponsoring, you're actually collaborating. Get together and collaborate and get in front of those people. And when you do it with a little bit of social responsibility trickled in there, the thing is, all those people may not promote themselves, but they will promote that they're helping the women coming off opioids, or the horses that are being slaughtered, or the veterans that are homeless. Help people get out of their own way. Stop talking about yourself. Start talking about, so here's my little tagline. Don't talk about what you do. Talk about what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that a lot.
When you're doing a campaign like this, people from all over the country will see you and you will actually inspire others. I cannot tell you how many people have seen what I'm doing in New England and end up doing it in Phoenix or Florida or California. I did a bra drive here, Braziers. It was October, which is breast cancer awareness.
Yeah.
We did this bra drive. I had people from all over the country shipping bras to that place. And I told them all, I said, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. However, there are places in your backyard. You don't need to spend $40 to send us a box full of bras. Go down and donate them in your own, homeless shelters and taking care of those people. So, when we are promoting this, it isn't about, hey, look at us, look at all the good we're doing. It's not about that. It's about, hey, we can get 10 bras, but with everyone, we can get 10,000. Or when I do a coat drive, I've only got 2 coats and my office may can come up with 20, but what about getting 2,000 coats donated by everyone?
Yeah.
So anytime someone says, well, are you saying you want to make money off the backs of the veterans that are suffering? No, you limited thinking doof. It's about how can you let people know what you're doing so that it inspires, so that it gets that many more people doing it. And from a business perspective, there is statistic after statistic that 87% of consumers, customers, and clients will choose the company or service that is on purpose. So if there's 2 credit unions, there's 2 bankers, 2 realtors, 2 dog walkers. If everything else is comparative, when people know that this one is helping the community, 87% will go to them. And I know that banks by law have to give back to their community. It's something that they are required to do. So all of them are doing it. It's the one that can actually leverage it and go a step beyond and above to let people know what they're doing. And I love that you say that, your thing with your company is helping to have employees want to come to work, right?
Mm.
So when you are actually doing these kind of campaigns, there's another statistic out there. Right now, 50% of the workforce, when we're in normal times, are millennial. And by 2025, 75% of the workforce will be millennial. And I bring that up because 62% of them won't even work for you if you're not on purpose, and they will work for less money to work for a company that's on purpose. So when you're actually doing something in the community and giving your employees the opportunity to be a part of that dog walk or be a part of that car show, you are attracting a higher talent. They are happier. They're coming to work more regularly. They're saying great things about you and the company to their friends instead of bitching, moaning, and complaining about their employer. There's so much to be said for that.
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that. I love what you said about employees because you're 100% right. In fact, I wrote an article. I wrote 2 articles about this is the time for credit unions, especially because a lot of the millennials and Gen Z that are just getting into the workforce, they're very attuned to this social responsibility quotient or aspect of the company that they work for. And credit unions have been doing that for decades. For decades, maybe they don't necessarily promote it well enough, but they have been doing it for decades. So they fit in perfectly to that type of mentality.
What I see in the opportunity is when we talk about our social responsibility and giving back, look, 60 days ago, there were puppies, veterans, and kids that needed our help. And those same people still have cancer. They still are hungry. They still are homeless now. So I've been letting my tribe know, look, even with what's going on, all those people and animals and the environment still need our help. And now that I've wrapped my head around the charitable gifting of real estate, here's how I'm leveraging it to help more people in a way bigger way. We may not be doing the galas and the car shows and the bake sales and all those things, but guess what, nonprofits? You don't need to beg and you don't need to do bake sales, and you don't need to have your hand out asking people to buy a $5 raffle ticket or asking them if you can hang up a flyer about your event that's coming up. When one piece of property is donated, now the donation of real estate is not to make the nonprofit a landlord or a management company. 99% of the properties donated, they never own the property. It gets sold immediately. But because it is donated to the nonprofit before it is sold, the property owner gets 100% tax write-off of the appraised value, and they do not pay capital gains tax. And this isn't just about a piece of crap property that they want to unload or a big strip mall. It could be a second home up at the lake or at the beach that the family just doesn't use anymore, and they're paying, they're paying their maintenance on it and taxes, and they just want to get rid of it. Instead of selling it, paying capital gains tax, and going through that whole thing, if they were to donate it. So let's say this second harvest place that you mentioned. What if right now, when we all can't get together, but we all can do Zoom and we all can get on the phone and we all can still communicate, what if we put together a campaign where we let people know, hey, Second Harvest would love to have your support. Who do you know that has a property that they could actually have a better tax write-off by donating? And when the property gets donated, imagine this. Imagine it's a second home, and once it's sold, no capital gains, there's $200,000 in equity that is given to Second Harvest. Ooh, boy, the PR and the marketing. Joe Blow's credit union, Remax agent, and all of the community come together to have $200,000 donated to Second Harvest. You don't get any better PR than that. Now the Rotary and the Lions Club and the Kiwanis, all of them want the realtor to come speak and talk about how that worked. How can they get that kind of money donated? So this is a way to not only stop begging, borrowing, and doing bake sales to help support, but also to really leverage it up and use this time that we have. People are answering the phone now.
Yes.
They answer the phone now more than they ever have. And now when we call the people we know, our credit union members, hey, Mary and John, listen, I just want you to know how much we appreciate you being a member of the credit union. And we are wanting to support Second Harvest. Now, we don't want any of your money. What we want to know is, who do you know that has property that they would like to get a really nice tax credit for? Not tax credit, tax write-off, because we know how to implement this strategy and make a lot of money. So that's what I have shifted into.
Nice. Yeah, a lot of what I'm getting is have a strategy. Whether it's have a strategy to be able to have this social responsibility and continue this in this time. Have a strategy in collaboration. You may be a large asset credit union, looking for ideas, or even a small asset credit union that's looking for ways to leverage what other credit unions are doing. Have a strategy going into that rather than just going in blindly. That's what I'm hearing as kind of the overall umbrella of what you've shared with us this morning.
Well, yeah. And as a business strategist, for those who are listening, whether you're a credit union or an entrepreneur or a real estate company or a training company, when you want to just look at things a little bit differently, as Dr. Wayne Dyer used to say, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Mm-hmm.
And to get a whole different perspective, especially from someone who sees the money. Like I was born to be a strategist. No matter what personality chart or what star chart, all these different things that I've done over the years always leads back to, I'm the manifester, I'm the driver, I'm the strategist. And so when I step into any situation, when I know what you're passionate about and who your ideal clients are, I come up with campaigns that you never would have thought of that will get you in front of thousands of your ideal client, have you helping whatever cause or organization it is that turns you on, so that we're making money while we're making a difference.
Yeah, you really need to bump up your energy level too. I don't get that at all. Cami, thank you so much for a lot of insight, more insight than I actually bargained for this morning. I learned a lot. Last question that I have for you, for anybody in our audience that could really use your expertise and needs to tap into your brilliance, how best can they find you?
Well, I am real, I'm raw, I'm relatable, and I'm reachable. So when you Google Cami Baker, CamiBaker.com, Cami at CamiBaker.com, and my phone number, that's right. The phone can be used the way God intended with an actual call, 603-785-2598. You can text, you can email, you can Facebook, you can send a carrier pigeon or a smoke signal, and I'm reachable.
Perfect, perfect. Well, get that carrier pigeon ready. Send it out to Cami. If my pigeon's still alive, I'm gonna do that. If not, then I'll just go to text. But Cami, thank you again for being such an awesome guest today.
Thank you.
All right, I hope you enjoyed listening to Cami as much as I enjoyed speaking with her during that interview. So much good advice there, but I want to drive home for the branding, the experience audience, three specific ideas from this. One is networking before collaborating. We can't just blindly collaborate with people. We need to make a human connection. In the days of COVID-19 right now, we're not making human connections sometimes. I see it on LinkedIn all the time. I talked about that in the personal branding presentation I just did for Deb Crier's group. In that, we make a connection, and immediately 90 seconds later, it's like, oh, thank you for connecting. By the way, I sell condoms with logos on it, and I sell the best condoms. I want to sell them to you. When can we have a virtual coffee? Most ignorant, ridiculous thing you could possibly do. And yes, I did the condom thing in order to go out there on an extreme to make a point. But yeah, I mean, it's just irritating and ridiculous. And they want to sell something, or as one person did, it's like, hey, you're doing great things. Let's talk about working together. Well, I just connected with you 90 seconds ago. For all I know, you're trying to steal my identity from some foreign country. Get to know me a little bit. Let's at least figure out a way to have a conversation in some way. Network and make a human connection before going to true collaboration. Number two, brand associations. Cami's got it spot on with purpose level marketing, in that when you connect your brand with a worthy cause, like she said, maybe it's the puppies, maybe it's the homeless or something. Personally for me, I give to the ASPCA and the American Humane Society, because I care about animals. Sometimes I care about animals more than people. But you'll find a cause that you're passionate about, because if you can connect to that charity, that cause, to your brand, you're going to come passionate, and you're going to be seen by other folks that also believe in that cause as being a positive brand, as being a person that they want to learn more about. So brand associations here are very important. Pick a cause that you're really passionate about, and leverage that for the right reasons. And three, she talked about unique selling proposition, which is also part of your brand. Have a plan. I think if you take nothing else from what Cami talked about, is have a plan. Don't just go into networking, say, hey, I'm going to meet some people and try to sell them, whether it's online or in person. Have a plan as to what you're doing. And I have a perfect example from earlier today. An old colleague, wanted to talk to me, was selling a particular service now. I hadn't talked to him in a couple years. And he says, hey, let's connect. We might be able to help each other. And so I'm like, all right, since I've networked with him before on a number of occasions, I was open to collaborating, but come with a plan for collaboration. He told me about the product. He told me what he was doing now. And I asked him some questions about the service that he was offering. And I said, well, then how can I help you? What do you need from Ken? Or me, or Bader Training and Consulting, or what have you. And instead of having a plan of, I thought we might be able to do X, or I think that you and I can do Y because you offer this in your business and I offer that. That was something I wanted to listen to, but instead he had no plan. He just says, well, I just wanted to reconnect with you, and if I could possibly make any connections for you and be a referral source, and you could do the same for me, that would be great. Well, that's cute, but that's way, way too nebulous. And it made me not want to do business with him, even though he offers a good product and service. So have a plan, network to collaborate, understand the power of brand associations, and have a plan, not only when you're selling, but especially when you're collaborating. So a big thank you to Cami Baker in giving me more content than I needed, and content for 2 great shows. And thank you to all of you that have just watched Branding the Experience. And here's hoping, as always, that you're branding the experience at a very high level for all those you serve. Take care. Thank you for watching Branding the Experience. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you're looking for a speaker on branding the experience, on workplace culture, or on business strategy, I have a number of different options for you. And my approach is always to entertain first, engage second, and educate third. It's a formula that leaves my audience not only laughing and enjoying, but also learning. So if you want a great speaker on branding, culture building, or strategy, I'd like to hear from you. Simply send me an email at kbator, BATOR, at btcinc.net, or to learn more about the presentations that I've done that have been successful in the past, go to www.btcinc.net.